The following is a production of Corrupted Entertainment in association with The Joe Cronin Show. Listen to other episodes and shows on youtube.com/corruptedpodcast.
Cult of Criticism.
Karma police. I've given all I can, it's not enough. I've given all I can, but we're still on the payroll.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Joe Cronin, and this is epic because there's been, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's been a lot of talk about Monetize This 140 coming up tomorrow night, or if you're listening to this later, it already happened. But for the first time, we're doing something where the donation points add up, and we'll have a winner who will win the Monetize This title for the first time. And I have just reconnected with the guy who started Monetize This with me. The other guy's not here. Tommy's still in space and time somewhere. But Chris Tosevich. Chris.
Heyo!
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Not the show, because this is our first time doing this show, but welcome back to the realm of Cronin.
Welcome back to the fold. I'm happy to be back, and I have nothing to say as always, but I'm going to say it loudly and obnoxiously. So I hope you're ready.
Well, that's Troy. That's been like Troy's position now. Like if you listen to Monetize This, like Troy barely speaks, but when he says stuff, he says like he's just kind of an asshat.
Oh, I'm going to speak. I'm not going to barely speak. Trust me. I'll be speaking more than you are, and you're going to hate it. So it's going to be great.
I figured some kind of weird equation out with you and me. Like if you listen to this, 2000, I think it was 2003 that we did. We were like in a band for a second. And then we sort of lost touch again. And and before that we were doing wrestling and stuff like that a little bit.
And summer school. Don't forget summer school.
All right, summer school. Yeah, I skipped summer school. If there were whatever comes after summer school, so you didn't do well at school, so you go to summer school. But what happens when you skip summer school? Because that's what I did. So I don't know.
You're fucking winter school, which is regular school, which you didn't go to. So I don't know. I don't know what comes.
I know what happens. You get a GED.
Oh yeah, me too.
Oh really? I found out a lot of people have gotten it that are involved in this show.
Hey, it's all you need.
Yeah, if it's true, I didn't need the other stuff, and then I still went to college, and it was a waste. But so I figured out this algorithm in my mind, like 2003. You know, we stopped doing the thing, but then we reconnect in 2008 to do the flank band, and then that breaks up, we lose each other again, and then we hook up to do the wrestling stuff and the Monetize This in 2013. So, and then we break up again, sort of. You know, you go on, you get busy, things happen in our lives and change, and now it's about to be 2018, and here we are again. And I'm thinking that every time, so like the next time when you leave this again, or when we just break free again from each other, it will only be a year until we do something again, because it's drowning down. The time is lessening. The margin
gets smaller each time. Yeah,
it's really kind of funny. I was thinking about it, like that's so bizarre. But yeah, the Monetize This, man. I'll talk about that first, just because so many people are aware of it. But it really kind of crashed and burned. Like, it was a bizarre thing. Like, we went from, and it's so different now than it was, because we used to talk kind of like this on that show, and kind of we talked about like politics and life, and then like little jokes would come in, like more. It was definitely more. What's the word? It was smarter. It was more.
It was, well, all right. Here's how I look at it. It was more like YouTube. Like maybe 2.0. YouTube 1.0 was just like, here's a video of it was like America's Funniest Home Videos. Here's a video of my 2-year-old falling down the stairs, ha ha ha. Or like fucking here's a video of a car crash or whatever, or like here's what happened. YouTube 2.0 was like, all right, here we are. We're trying to like actually get something across. We have a show, and we're going to rely on ads, and that's it. And then I think now we're in YouTube 3.0, which is more like, all right, we need to have an infrastructure within our show. Any given show has to have its own way of making money and getting followers and getting out there and getting promoted. outside of the YouTube infrastructure.
Yeah.
So I think last time I was here, it was 2.0, where it was just like, let's just try to make a show and see what happens. And now you've gone beyond that since I've left, which is let's make a show and I need to do all this extra shit as well just to keep the show going. And what's awesome is, as I've been checking in, your fans are fucking on board with that, and they're totally cool with fucking YouTube 3.0, which is let's pay money for what we like, which is great.
Yeah, and we've been forced into it in many ways too, because like, in February I was making $100 a day on YouTube, or in March and May. I would say probably March actually. I was making about $100 a day, which I used to make about $30 a day, and before and a little bit before that I made about $8 a day. So it was like, wow, the dreams have come true. But then the adpocalypse happened, and I don't know if you're aware of all that, but.
I am vaguely, yeah.
So all the advertisers pulled out and they changed everything, and now I make about $6, like $3 to $10 a day on YouTube. So,
but you still need to use like Patreon and other ways to supplement that, and just to stay above water, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so with live donations and with Patreon, which we have over almost 300 patrons now, so that's crazy. With all that stuff, yeah, it's been super funded. And also when I lost my job. In February, this became a full-time job because it was so well funded and well enough funded that I can do this and focus on this only. But yeah, so it's crazy, yeah, where it's come from as like a complete hobby. I failed at this for 8 years. If you look at my old channel, if you remember that old channel I had, like nobody got it. You know what I mean? Like some people got it, but when 1 minute you're making a video like putting lube all over yourself and going like, like, and then the next video you're ranting about the Red Sox or something. Like people just didn't, you couldn't.
Well, dude, even before that, Rage Internet Radio, which is just streaming for no money whatsoever, which is just to get your name out there. You were doing that for a long while, and that was just to establish yourself, and that was what, 10, 15 years ago? No,
I mean, well, yeah, I mean, like I did do that a long time ago, but I really started doing it with Troy back in 2011 and 12. Like that's when we started streaming it on video, like on Stickam. And I remember I figured out the system. When you went on Stickam, it's kind of like YouNow, I think it's called, or UTV or YouNow. There's something like that now, where like it's a lot of kids are streaming though, so it's weird. But Stickam was like that. So if you went on Stickam, and they would feature the top videos that had the most viewers, and I figured out that like number 2 and 3 had like 20 viewers. And I was like, wow, they have 20 viewers, so they're pushed to the top of the page. So
it's a small fucking bar to pass.
Right. So I would open up like 50 browsers on different computers in my house and manipulate the algorithm or whatever. So we would be at the number 1, and then we would get tons of people coming in, and then that would push it even further, and eventually it would push it to like the featured page.
Hey, to be fair, everyone else had that option too, and they didn't fucking take it. So,
yeah, no one else thought of that. I don't know. And all it was is to do our show. We were just being silly and drinking and interviewing bands and shit. And then I think the big thing that changed everything was when YouTube announced that they were going to give live capability, not just Google Hangout, but like you could go live from a independent player and stuff. So I don't know. Then I hooked up with you, and we found Tommy C and all that other stuff, and then we did start doing the Monetize this, and we found
Does the C stand for conspiracy?
Yeah, well, we know he's a conspiracy guy. Well, the funny thing is now that he's all like kind of a little bit more mainstream and bigger because of working with Keemstar and all that, which is crazy to think that he works with that whatever, but and blew up like that. But that it was all because of stuff that me and Tommy NC were doing, which is kind of funny. But it's like, it's funny to think that we called him all these things, and now he's actually like known by a lot of people for all these things. And it's we knew that back then.
Can I talk some shit about Tommy C, or is that not allowed on your channel? What's going on here?
I won't, because I have a deal with him, but you can say, I suppose you can say whatever you want.
All right, I'm just a guest, right? I can say whatever.
Well, I would say this is your, you're kind of a co-host to this, right? It's me.
All right. So what I've noticed, and I've only ducked in a little bit here and there, but I've actually, tried to keep up with them a little bit. I've tried to keep in touch with them to a small extent, just probably as much as he could with me, just checking in on the internet and seeing what's going on. What I've noticed is that he has really nothing else going on in his life. Like, you got multiple kids. I have a kid. He kind of is just sad and has a lot of time on his hands. And you'll be able to tell, because when something crazy happens in the worlds that you're involved in, sports and wrestling and all that, you'll chime in and you'll say some shit. Or even when you get some like seriously crazy shit, like with Tommy NC and all that other shit, like you'll chime in, but you'll have it with like an air of like, all right, this is what I need to say. This is my job, and this is what I'm saying, and this is on the internet, and this is whatever. With him, he takes it so personally, and he gets so hurt, and he gets so serious, and he talks very low to the camera, and he gets very upset, and he says, "Listen, I understand what's happening right now, but I really got to say, like, this is what I think," and it's.
I think
it's
he's
a little.
He's a little weird. I mean, listen, I can't talk because I really think that I'm.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to.
But I think I'm insane too, to be honest. But I do think
you are. But it's with him. It's a little more concerning. I don't know. I guess I'll end with that. It's a little more concerning with him.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a. All I'll say is, man, if you get in a fight with him, he will attempt to. He will attempt to destroy your fucking life. I know that, or like what he'll do, whatever. He's a wild one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's scary. I just saying what I said. Now I fear for my own life. It's
yeah,
weird.
he may come and try to fucking take your kid or something. I don't know what.
He's gonna call DCF on my child because I made fun of his YouTube channel.
We've been cool though. I've been cool with him. We really stay away from each other, I think. I mean, I've reached out to him multiple times because I'm just that type of person where I'm always like, I'm not saying I'm great or anything. I'm just saying like I always feel the need to be like, hey, like, still, we did everything we did was cool. I still kind of miss you, man. Like, I don't know what happened still, because still to this time.
Oh yeah, you'll hold feuds, but you won't hold grudges, and I think that's the big difference.
Yeah, I enjoy feuds, but I don't want to ever destroy anybody, and I also don't want I don't want to be destroyed, and I don't want to destroy anybody. And also the thing is, I never had an issue with him to begin with. I messed up on something, and because of other people, things got in the way. But with him, I always saw him as my real friend. Like, out of everybody else, like, he was the one that I thought, that's my buddy. Like, so when he flipped, it was weird to me, and it's still weird now, but I don't know, whatever. But, it worked out good for everybody, it looks like, because right after they left, I became very determined on my channel, and I grew bigger than I ever grew before, like faster, bigger, stronger, all that shit. Yep. Not a lot of the same people listen anymore. We have a very small amount of people that were here during that time that are still here. A lot of the audience is fairly new. It does go through cycles. I noticed that, just like anything else, like, where you have hardcore people listening for like a year and a half, and then some of them slip away, and then a new crop of people come in and that you always hear from, and it's always kind of rotating in and out. But that's what also makes it stressful sometimes too, because you're sort of rotating people in and out who have to move on with their lives, or who are still listening but are in the background now, and I just want to keep growing bigger so that now there's even more of that, so there's less worry of it dropping off ever. And we're in a little bit of a down
Plus,
period.
it's more exciting for the listener when they realize, oh, any given person can be the next big thing on Joe Cronin's show, not just necessarily the three mainstays who are always there. It's better for the general public and for your listeners to realize that they can be a part of your show as much as the next guy, and not just the three people who are always going to be there.
Well, that's the other funny thing is, like, a lot of people have said, newer people, maybe they've been listening for 3 months or 6 months, and sometimes, we hit a down period or something, or Monetize This has a change in people who are there, or I change people on my show for whatever reason, and, you'll see comments from people that are like, oh my god, it's dead, or it's over, or it's, oh man, like, I wish it was, and it's so funny because I'm like, dude, this is the 5th time this has happened, like.
Yeah, they have no idea what the fuck's happened before that. That's crazy. Yeah.
We've successfully reset this every time, with me, you, and Tommy, then we added Jesse, and then when Tommy had to leave for a little while, we had Dave in there, and then he was back, and then everybody broke up, or I think you left, and then I just had them, and some people were like, oh, I miss Tosevich. And then, we all broke up, and then it was just me and Dave Rose, and and
Oh yeah.
and for a little while people thought it wasn't whatever, and then Me, Dave, and Justin became a hit, and people loved that with Jesse too, and then that broke up, so and now we're rolling with Ken, Bailey, and everybody, so like the whole group of people, and then I added, Leah's over here. I haven't gotten to the time when you started. She's over here looking at me like she's gonna kill me.
I'm on the show every week.
Well, to be honest, Leah actually was a couple times she'd make like special appearances back on the old show. You remember that? Like once in a while, Leah would join us, but not
She was
a
the
lot.
hottest commodity back then. People were always asking for Leah, and it was hilarious because you're always like, "Oh yeah, but no."
Yeah, like
And
no,
then once you added her in, like pretty much after I left, that was probably the best decision you ever made.
yeah, she's great, and like everybody's great, and it's funny how it's morphed. It's so much that like you even said recently, you were like, "Hey man, I'd come back on," and I was like, "Damn, I'd love to have you on, but there's too many people on." Like there's just too many people. But I have like a list of, even Jake DeMarco, he does Monday Night Raw review with me, and he was like, "Hey, I'm free on Fridays now," and I'm like, "You can call up, but oh my God, I've got Leah, me, Justin, and Ken, and that's it right there." Because then when you take phone calls, it becomes insane. So
Well, even when I said I'm willing to come back, I didn't think that like you'd be like, "Oh, cool, here's the top spot on the top night." Like, no, like I didn't expect any of that shit. I just, I was just letting you know, "Hey, I am available again. My life's a little more predictable now." Like, and hey, I'm preaching to the choir here. I have one kid. You have 3 times as many. So you understand what it's like to have kids. So I'm not going to sit here thinking that you're going to be like, "Oh, Tosevich has a kid, let's give him special treatment." At the same time, though, just letting you know, hey, I'm available now. If you can squeeze me in, squeeze me in. If not, whatever, totally cool. And I'm really grateful for you to have me on, like, an actual show without having to call in and fight with the people who have actually put the time in for the past several months. So
that's why
thank
when
you
you
for that.
when you were like, "Oh, I want to come do something," it's like, "Oh, this is great to have to do what we're doing right now," because I just think it's better to utilize you on something like this now, because you won't get drowned out. I'll monetize this. It's like you could be there for 3 hours and get a few words in, and it's like, that.
Right, which I was totally cool with if that was the case, but like I really appreciate the fact that like you're actually devoting a show to fucking stupid ass Tosevich who did your show 3 years ago.
It was a weird time, dude. Like that time was so weird. I was a horrible person at that time, by the way.
Me too. I think that was.
You think you were a horrible person? Why?
All right, maybe not a horrible
You did
person.
get what
but a
happened
horrible...
though? You did get weird at one point. Remember, like I don't know if it was like Tommy. I mean, I don't know if it was the Tommy thing, but I don't know. It's something weird. You got all. You were you, and then like towards the very end, I don't know what it was, but I felt like you got snooty about stuff, and I don't know why.
So snooty is a great way to put it, but I wouldn't use that word. But I would agree if you wanted to use that word, that's perfectly fine. Personally, I wouldn't use snooty because no one wants to call themselves snooty. That's just a shitty thing. So I'd say cautious maybe. I didn't know what was going on. You had already had children and realized, okay, this is what I want to do. This is one of my main sources of income. This is my job. Me, it was a hobby, and granted a paid hobby. You paid me very well, but it was a paid hobby. And then all of a sudden here I am thinking like, okay, well, what if my son Googles my name in 20 years and all of a sudden the N-word pops up a whole bunch, and then all of a sudden I'm involved in that and all this and that, and he doesn't know the context, because once again, it is about context, and we kept saying that on the show. It's all about context, about how you deal with things. But, I mean, just look at what's happening right now with celebrities and all that other bullshit, and it's like if anyone fucking sneezes, they're getting taken down and their career is ruined and all that shit, right?
Well, isn't it funny how it came full circle? Because that's what Tommy used to say. He used to be like, you don't know, whatever. And then all of a sudden, this has happened. So it's very bizarre.
I'm not gonna say we were ahead of the game or ahead of the curve or whatever, but it's like it's true. Like the internet can giveth and the internet can taketh away. And I think at that point, I didn't know what I had to lose, or I didn't know what could be lost, or any of that shit. So I was just paranoid. I think paranoid is the word I would.
I was also the opposite of that. Like I was going,
which is good because another good way to deal with it is to go balls into it and just be like, fuck it, I'm not afraid of anything because I know what I stand for and I'm willing to stand here and defend it. But when I was realizing that I might not have the time to defend it and I might not have the time to get on your show and clarify what I meant or clarify what you meant or say, you know, my piece when you had something to say, all of a sudden, like, the less I could chime into your show, the less I could make sense of what anyone would have to say about me. So I was like, I'd rather be completely out than half in, and then a week later find out that's all of a sudden my name was torn apart and I didn't even know why. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I always there really wasn't a problem with you when you left, other than you know, I think I was just probably sad about it. Like, I was probably like butthurt, like, oh, we lost, you know. So I was probably grumpy.
I'm sure that's the other thing. Like, no one gave a shit if I left. Like, you might have given a shit, but it didn't affect your show. It's not like after I left,
I thought
your
it
fucking
would.
show went under.
No, I mean, I didn't think it would, but you know, I didn't know what was going to happen, because what happens with me is I get like in a pack mentality of friends and stuff, where I'm like, yo, guys, it's us. Like, let's go. Here we go. Like, we did monetize this. And I think the thing, too, is it also becomes like a camaraderie thing. Like it becomes my hockey night. Like, you know what I mean? Friday nights I used to do hockey, and you hang out with the guys and you play hockey.
Right.
I don't have any friends, really. So, like, my friends, not only was this my show and everything else, but that was my friends. So I see you and Tommy and Jesse and everybody as my friend. And so, like, to lose somebody was, like, upsetting like that, because it wasn't just like, oh, we just lost. You know, I was like, no, like, I want everybody to be part of this game. And
well, I think the other big difference, speaking of which, is that back when I first joined the show, I was my own boss and I was making my own hours as a street musician, which is fine. Like, I was making enough money to survive or whatever.
Your whole
but I
life
was
changed
making my own hours.
Right at that time. You moved back here. You had the kid.
I moved back here, had a kid, and then also I got a job where they were like, you got to work Mondays. And I was like, okay, I'll work Mondays. And just, you know what? As soon as I said, yeah, I'll work Mondays, immediately my head flashed, well, I guess there goes the Joe Cronin show, because my main thing was Monday Night Raw reviews. So, also Sundays. Sundays time and a half, and I work nights. So I couldn't work Sundays or Mondays. So I guess I could have wedged myself in, but that mixed with everything else that was going on, it was just like, I don't know when I can call in. I know for a fact I can't do pay-per-views or Raw, so this is the time to bow out and then maybe come back in the future.
I was a maniac then, though. I will say that I really was, like, wild then. Like, I was really crazy. Like, I was just up all the time, like, worrying about money and stuff every week. You know, things are just nuts.
I'll tell you this right now. If I knew that I didn't have to work Mondays or Sundays, then I would have stayed on and tried to figure it out. But once they took those away from me, like, they didn't really take it away from me. All right, once I had to work Sundays and Mondays like a regular human being, I couldn't. How am I supposed to be on a show that I can't monitor on the most important days of that show? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and then now it's like it's open. It's like nobody had. You know, Justin Bailey went through the same thing. You know, if you know Justin really well, I don't know how much you listen to the show now, but you know, Bailey went through this with me too. Me and him were a hit. You know, me and him and Dave Rose killed it. Now Dave Rose has since sort of been kind of a bitch, so he's been off the show. You know, falling out as I always have falling out to so many people. But you know, Bailey killed it with me, and we had great chemistry. And then he had to leave because of his job. He couldn't do it either, and he's since made time and come back. So same thing happened with him, where he just had to be like, I had to ask him. I had to be like, can you not do this? You know, because I didn't know if he was going to be here. You know, sometimes he was here, then he wasn't here. And but anyway, he's come back full force, and it's been great. And yeah,
well, that's the other thing, is like, this is a new job for me at the time, and it's like I need to prove to them that I can fucking do what they need me to do. And then now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, like if you and I got really popular and if things got back to the way they were back in the day, I could say to my job, hey, I need Mondays off, and they could be like, all right, that's cool. But I couldn't have said that back then. I was new. You know what I mean? So
I so regret all that stuff. Like, I wish, like, you know what I mean? Like, again, like I said, like, we had a great run in that early stages of stuff. Like, you think about it, like, I think I had like 3,000 subs at one point. I know.
We blew the fuck up.
Yeah, I had 500 actually. I had 300 subs, and then we blew up to 1,000, and then 2,000.
That first SummerSlam review was the huge hit that actually got us on the map. Got you on the map, I should say. I don't know why I keep saying us.
Well, it was us, but it was Tommy. But yeah, it was me then with us. But it was Tommy. Had I remember he had 200 subs. You know what I mean? Like at that time.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Shot from the point at 200.
It's crazy to think about like where everything has gone. But yeah, it's cool now. But yeah, it's good to have you back here, and here we are. And you know, for the people that know, it's pretty exciting probably. But for the people that are new.
This was a bunch of 20 minutes of bullshit, so let's get on to brass tacks and talk about some shit.
Well, the first quick thing I want to talk about is I don't know how big a Star Wars person you are, but I am like terrified right now because I have tickets on Sunday, and I'm like terrified of spoilers just everywhere. I'm worried about I'm gonna read something somewhere. You know, I'm trying not to read anything.
So I am the worst person to talk to about this because I've seen the original trilogy and then I saw Phantom Menace and then nothing since.
Well,
Phantom me on the whole thing.
Phantom Menace will do that to you.
Yeah, and it did. And you know what? Like, I'm not a big movies guy in general when it comes to actually going to the theater.
Yeah.
Just because it's too goddamn expensive. Plus, after working in a movie theater for like 6 years, you get really disenfranchised to the whole process.
Yeah.
You have 6 years of seeing any movie you want for free at any given time, and then that's taken away from you. You're like fucking away from the fucking DVD.
It's kind of like me losing my job in shoes. I was like, shoes are great, and shoes are everywhere, and here's some more free shoes and shoes, and now like I fucking hate shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's true. Anything that you fall out of, it's just gonna you're gonna remember the good times.
Now I just wear dildos.
Yeah, me too. On both feet.
Yeah.
Like one dildo per foot. I have two different sizes. One's 12 and one's 11. But
I tape 3 dildos to the bottom and around. Well, I'm gonna get a wide foot.
Like a snowshoe.
I have an 11.5 foot. So, what size are your feet? 11.5.
Actually, that's the exact size I am.
So we're both 11.5. Look at that. That's why our dicks are huge.
Yeah, that's why our dildos are small. So there we go.
No, that's right. We've been over that before. Remember, we were watching this. We were watching this the other day when speaking of the old show, and we are talking about like Tosovich's dick or whatever, and then like Tommy was like, oh my god, like that's like when a girl runs into her first big dick. Holy Christmas! It was just fucking hilarious. I was like, I don't know, it's still up on YouTube.
Holy Christmas was yeah.
Oh yeah, he said, "Holy Christmas, what a treat."
Yeah, what woman would say, "Holy Christmas, what a treat"? You know what? To be fair, if I was actually going like after, if I was single and I was going after a woman and we were getting down and dirty, and then I heard, "Holy Christmas, what a treat," I wouldn't be able to perform. That'd be the end of it. I'd be like, "All right, I'd
just say, well, you think that's good? Wait till the
you're too innocent and cute. We can't have sex."
I would say wait till the throat fucking if you think that's great.
Well, that's Happy Hanukkah, my friend.
Well, the funny thing was Leah was on that episode because she was laughing at that a lot, so I remember that. We'll send this to Tommy. We'll just tweet this at him and be like, "Hey."
Oh, good. I'm sure he'll enjoy it 100%.
He'll probably fucking come kill you. No, I'm just kidding.
Good.
And then molest you. So fuck Star Wars. I mean, we won't need to talk about that. I don't want to talk about it anyway because I don't know what's going to happen. But what I will say is you can't end your Star Wars career on Phantom Menace. Like what are you doing?
I know. I agree. I should get back in.
Hey, you know what? I didn't see it in the theater. Like when that came out, I can remember like in school, like Mr. Ellis and stuff was like all pumped up about Phantom Menace.
Oh, I was pumped. I love the original trilogy.
Really? Okay.
I grew up a Star Wars fan. Like I'm not someone who was like, nah, never for me. No, like really, I loved Star Wars, and I was like, this is gonna be fucking awesome. And I saw Phantom Menace, and I was like, what the fuck is going on right now?
I just watched Star Trek.
And then, no, Star Trek has done no wrong. I can't think of a single Star Trek thing that has been bad. Every Star Trek thing, I may have complaints here and there, but nothing's through and through bad. Like the Phantom Menace was through and through bad.
That's true. That is true. I mean, Star Trek 5 is pretty bad, but I don't know.
All right, pretty bad, but like so many other Star Trek shit.
At least it had the concept of looking for God or whatever it was.
Even that, like that aside, so much Star Trek shit aside from that. Every time they've rebooted the series, it's been great. Aside from a few missteps.
Well, have you seen the new
one?
Star
Wars has a lot to fucking go on and a lot more money behind it, and they've still made so many fuck ups. It's just obnoxious. It's obnoxious.
It was weird, man. I don't know, like, but you should watch the episode 6 or episode 3, guys. I think Revenge of the Sith is It's pretty good. It's all right. It was almost like finally, you know, because it got so dark. I'm surprised that you couldn't resist the urge to want to see, you know, Anakin turn into Darth.
Here's another thing. When that movie came out, the Nintendo 64 also just came out, so I was very excited about the video games.
Wait a second.
What?
The Nintendo 64 came out?
Yeah, right around the same time.
No, it didn't. It came out in like 1990 something.
When did the fucking stupid ass Pod Racer video game come out?
1999. 2000.
Okay, and that was based off what?
Star Wars?
Uh-huh,
Well, but Phantom Menace came out in 99.
But that was the first Star Wars game for Nintendo. What I'm trying to say is, when that game came out, the number one.
Okay, I think I get what you're saying. I guess I didn't realize that Nintendo 64 was still around that big in the 2000s.
When I said just came out, I didn't mean like that year. I meant like when that video game came out, it was for the Nintendo 64 because that was the main video game system at the time.
I get you.
So I'm excited about Star Wars coming back. Here we go, Episode 1. Oh my God, what happened? Like, how did all this take place? And then I get a shitty racing game and a shitty movie and Jar Jar Binks and all that bullshit. It's just, it ruined it for me. It really did. And that's all very cliche, and I admit that. But
you left out midichlorians too. That pissed people off.
Yeah, that too.
That was like Star Trek stuff right there. Like, oh, midichlorians. But but anyway, so yeah, episode 3, man. I don't know. You give that a watch. I think you should watch that because that's the best one. The one was horrible. 2 was like a shit. You could have skipped 2 and it would have been all right. You could have watched 1 and 3, but 3 was pretty good. It was the better one of them all. But the new one, The Force Awakens, was pretty cool. I really liked it. It was kind of a copycat of Star Wars to get you back into it almost in a weird softy reboot way, but I'm being told that this new one is like lots of people are choosing it as their second favorite movie after Empire, which is like what? That's
insane.
It is insane. Like people that I wouldn't have expected to do that. People who are like probably having sex every night with the original videotapes of Star Wars. And so I'm like, well, they're never gonna give the and I look on their list. They're like, here's my updated list on Star Wars, and then they're like, Last Jedi #2 after Empire, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I was like, well, is Last Jedi a copy of Empire? And then I'm being told it's not. So this is finally different. Like the last movie was kind of like a rehash. But yeah, dude, I don't know. You should check that out. I think you should watch. Definitely watch Force Awakens, because Force Awakens to me is like that's like the original series all over. Like we're back. Like here we go. Like the prequels are fucking some other weird fuckery universe. But, like, Force Awakens, it's like, this is Star Wars again. Okay, we're back. This is normal. So if you just ignore the prequels, kind of, but watch Episode 3, you know? Like, you can kind of start at Episode 3, you know?
What you sound like right now is what I sound like when I'm trying to tell people to continue to watch Lost after they're like, well, after season 3, I kind of like, I don't know, season 3 got kind of weird, so I don't care anymore. And I'm like, no, but you need to see it through to the end, because at the end it justifies everything and it's amazing.
Oh, God.
And I feel that way. And I know that Lost is one of my favorite television shows of all goddamn time. It's like, it's fucking perfect in my eyes. But at the same time, I can't deny the people who say, I was excited, season 3 happened, and then I didn't give a shit.
I don't see
like,
it that way, though.
I would love to tell them, like, no, stick it through, it's great. But, like, no, I can't, because they're going to hate it, and I know they're going to hate it, even if I love it.
I went in like I went in a different way. I went in like, this has to be better than the prequels. I went in like those were so bad.
That's not difficult to fucking do, dude. Like,
I guess not.
Whatever. Like the prequels are trash.
I'm like, this is not. Once I knew it wasn't George Lucas, that's when I was like, okay, this is different. I'm game.
Fair enough.
Like, if it was your example would be like if George Lucas had been directing these, I would have been like, oh, I'm done. No, I am done. But because it was
fair, okay.
But yeah, so I mean, J.J. Abrams, it's, you know, you could see he wanted Star Trek was like Star Wars because he was trying to do that there. But anyway, speaking of media, I don't know. We should move into the main discussion, which is going on right now. It's fucking insane.
Oh boy.
It's all over the place because this could, who knows what this will take us. But is this net neutrality is gone?
My God.
But I mean, they're still gonna fight it, but it's gone. And
Yeah.
I have seen so many different opinions on this. It's almost insane. I would bet in my mind, 80% of the country didn't want this to end.
More than that, actually. There are numbers out there that you can research, and I think it's something like 85% of the country didn't want it to happen. And what's even crazier is something like 70% of Republicans didn't want it to happen.
Right.
So that's everyone. That's fucking everyone.
See,
And you know who wanted it to happen? Was people invested in media companies, and that's it. And
the media companies.
and the people who are working for them or under them or as a fucking public employee who is pretending not to work under them but is secretly it's all bullshit. Anyone worth their salt doesn't want this to happen. The overwhelming majority of America did not want this. The only people who did were the people with money, who are the people who are going to make money from this, and that's it.
the biggest problem I have is forget net neutrality or non-net neutrality or whatever. Just the thing that makes me mad is the people didn't want it. And
no one wanted it.
Unelected people voted for this and put this through. That's the thing that makes me mad. This could have been even a good thing that went through, and I'd still be mad because the people didn't want it. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If the people didn't want it, why in the world would this go through? And the funny thing is a lot of people are starting to say stuff like some of the cynical people or that 20% are coming out, maybe misinformed people, are coming out and saying stuff like, oh, you know, well, this has only been around for a few years. You know, the internet was fine before that. But it's like they don't understand, like, well, no, they created net neutrality because stuff started to get, like, nefarious. Like, stuff started to get messed up.
Well, here's an example. Do you know the issue with Netflix and the actual servers they've installed throughout multiple ISPs throughout the country?
No.
What Netflix did was they were like, hey, Netflix is kind of running slow for some people. Can you give us a hand? And they were like, no. And they were like, okay, well, like, we're net neutral like anyone else. We want our service to go through like anyone else. Can you serve our movies the same way you serve everyone else's? And they were like, well, 30%, and this is an actual number, you can Google this, 30% or greater actually look at let me try to word this correctly. Okay, 30% of the internet traffic after 5 p.m. is Netflix. The rest is whatever.
Right.
So if you're using that much of our internet, that's on you. And we're not going to try to help you or boost anything based off of that because of net neutrality. So Netflix decided, hey, we're going to give you all of Netflix. We're going to take every ISP in the country, give them a server that has all of our movies ready for streaming, and you can install that, and we'll pay for it, and you can serve Netflix through every channel you want to everyone in America, and that'll be perfectly fine. And they were like, okay, that's fine. That's cool. That's perfectly fine. Give us the Netflix box. We'll install it. We'll serve it to everyone, and then everyone will have Netflix, no problem. And then the ISPs decided they would charge Netflix for the upkeep and for the maintenance of those servers. So all of a sudden, that's against net neutrality right there.
Right.
And guess what? It flew. It was fine because it was a gray area. And they were like, all right, fine. If you pay for your server within our ISP building, we will upload it and we'll link it in, and then everyone can have Netflix, and then there will be no slowdowns whatsoever. Because if you're trying to stream Stranger Things in New York, then you'll get it from New York instead of trying to get it from Netflix's servers in fucking Indiana or whatever. So it all worked out great. But the problem is that's against net neutrality, and they allowed it, and that started a precedent. So now all these other people were trying to be like, all right, how do we get our things served the same way? And it started a big fight. And guess what? It would have worked out fine with the net neutrality rules because they would have eventually figured out that that's bullshit, get Netflix out of there, and then everyone has to be served equally. And the ISPs would have had to pay if most of their traffic is coming from Netflix, they would have had to say, hey, Netflix, here's some money. Give us your servers because the people want it. And Netflix would have to give the servers but then not have to pay for it. Now, every single person who wants to say, hey, please serve my information, they have every reason to say, pay me first. Pay me first. And that's the fucking bullshit.
It's kind of like a bar now, or getting a bar's license. It's like, you want to open a bar? Well, it's going to be a license. How much are you going to pay us for the license? Or whatever.
But to the extreme.
But yeah, to the Wild West extreme. Yeah, although they call this the Wild West now, but not really, because it's not, and it isn't either way. And I get the argument because government taking control of things like having net neutrality, like it does it does sort of discourage growth, right? Like competition. I forget the example I gave to Leah a few minutes ago. I gave her a video game example. It's kind of like this. Like right now they have to follow all these rules, so we can't have a kind of a competition in a way, you know, because everybody has to play by the same rules for the most part. So it's kind of just like a bullshit game of, hey, we're charging this and you're charging that, but really they just play with the prices. Okay, when you leave us, you know, you left us at the highest price possible, but we're going to drop it like 40% to have you try to get you back. But then after a year, it's going to go back to that big price again. Oh, you left us again, you went there, and then rinse and repeat. That's all they can do. But what they would want is it to be open so there can be competition and they can have different, you know, price ranges and different things they can do. But it hurts the consumer. It hurts us mostly, I think, because then it's like, well, oh, you want Netflix? Well, you're gonna have to sign up for this. Oh, you want MTV? Well, who the fuck watches that? But you want sports? You have to sign up for this. You want to stream video games? You have to sign up for this. And it's kind of like Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo, right? So when you have Xbox, Nintendo, say like PlayStation has Resident Evil only on PlayStation. Well, you bought an Xbox thinking you're gonna play video games, but that game is only available on PlayStation. So now you got to go out. You got to buy it PlayStation 3. Because
so a big misconception, and one thing I see flying around the internet, which I can't sit there and disagree with because it's getting people on the fence against the regulation against net neutrality. So I can't sit there and tear it down. But you know what? I'm going to, because here's the goddamn deal. Everyone thinks that the internet right now is like a buffet. You pay one price, and you walk up to the buffet, and then you can take whatever you want. You can download this, you can download that, whatever, and everything's perfectly free and evenly accessible no matter what they pay. And granted, yes, that is how it is right now. If net neutrality gets repealed, everyone thinks that it's going to be like cable, where it's like back in the early 90s, you could pay for cable. And then guess what? You got everything. You got cable, okay? And that was the end of the story. Now, if you look at cable and it's like, all right, I want cable. It's like, well, what package do you want? Do you want the sports package? Do you want this? Do you want Disney? Do you want Noggin? Do you want these fucking things? If you don't, then you can pay this much. If you do, you have to add on to it and all this other bullshit. And that's what people think the internet's going to turn into. Guess what? It's not. It's not going to be like that, which sounds great, but it's not, because it's going to be worse. An example is Netflix. Netflix is charging $9, $10, $11, whatever. Point is, every time they up their cost, it's because of the servers that they're sending these ISPs to serve their product, which is going to cost more. So it's not because of net neutrality, it's because of the ISP's aversion to net neutrality. So what's going to happen is, yeah, you could still access the Pirate Bay and download whatever you want. Like, they're not going to throttle individual websites. What they're going to do is charge other services more money to have better access on their channels. So therefore, you're going to see things where it's like Netflix costs $8 in Indiana, but $15 in New York City, because of the demand.
Right.
So it's not going to be this big thing where it's like, oh, everyone's going to have to pay per what they want to look at. Like I have to pay the Instagram price or I have to pay the Facebook price to get Facebook. It's not going to be like that. What's going to happen is everything that's already charging money is going to have to pay more to keep their service alive, and then that's going to tumble down to you. So if you pay for YouTube Red, or if you pay for Sling, or if you pay for fucking anything else that's a pay service throughout the internet, Netflix and everything else, you are going to see higher charges based off of what they are being charged to get their service to you.
What about places like us? Leah just brought this up. What about places like where I am where, you know, there's only Comcast because they have a deal with the city.
And then that's it. They can fuck you as hard as they want to because there's going to be no other competition. And everyone keeps saying, oh, the free market, well, that's the whole reason for this. Like, we want to deregulate to let the free market prevail. If you deregulated, then why are there circumstances where the free market is shut down because one company has an entire contract with the entire fucking state?
Yeah,
like,
I
that's
mean,
insane.
We're screwed right here because, again, there's nothing we can do. This is the only place. So if they come here and charge whatever, it doesn't matter.
If there was another company saying, like, oh, like, I know Comcast is fucking you based off net neutrality, and they're like, oh, we're going to charge more for this and more for that, but we're here and not going to charge you that. Who the fuck is going to do that? They have to pay for the lines, for the direct lines to your house? Like, no, that's already owned and bought and sold. It's done. That's a done deal. That's why we don't have gigabit internet in Boston, even though we should.
Well, that's the other thing is too is like if they come in and they did that, you know, at least right now in net neutrality, even though Comcast is kind of running a monopoly here, they're still held to the same standards to play fair. So we're protected.
But there's no standards now.
Well, not now. Well, though, I think again this is going to go to Congress, though, right? So I mean, this may not.
Right. But it's not gonna. We're done. It's over. It's over until 2020.
Well, that's not good. That's not good. Hey, all right. So yeah, we're fucked until 2020. How's your whiskey? What kind of whiskey are you drinking?
So I've gone through a bunch of different whiskeys in my post absolute alcoholic rage, where before I was drinking probably 12, 15, 20 beers a night for I'd say maybe 5, 10 years straight, which is bad. Like there was not a single night where I was not absolutely shit-faced. So these days, what I'm trying to do is 1 or 2 nights a week, I'll drink a little bit, and then the rest of the week, really not drink at all, which is great. The nights I do drink, I was drinking beer. And I was drinking 3 or 4 beers a night, which was, I don't know, not terrible, not great, but still better than 12 a night for 7 days a week.
Ric Flair. I don't know how you do that. That's crazy.
It was bad, man. It was really bad. So these days, I'll pick 1 or 2 nights a week, and I'll drink, and then the rest of the week I won't. I've gotten really good at that. So I've decided that whiskey is easier to monitor than beer, because when I drink beer, it's like fucking eating chips. Like, oh, I'll just have one, and then the bag's gone, you throw it away, and then you go to the store and get another bag. It was really bad. Whiskey, you respect, you look at, you can see how many shots you're taking, you can feel them as they happen. They don't sneak up on you. So at first I was drinking Seagram 7, which was okay. And then I went to Jameson, which is way too expensive. And then now I'm at the point where I'm drinking Canadian Club. And Canadian Club is a fantastic whiskey to drink if you're trying to monitor your drinking and see how much you are drinking. Because it's super smooth, it hits you immediately, and it tastes like absolute garbage water. It tastes like if you threw a bunch of diapers into a dumpster and then it rained and then you sucked up the puddles from that dumpster. So it really helps you not enjoy yourself when you're drinking.
Yeah, that's a mess, man. I don't know. I stopped as well for the most part, but like Friday nights on Monetize, this is when I drink. That's about it. It's usually I get pretty sometimes I get really I drink like heavily, like heavy stuff. Like I'll drink rum heavily, like for like at least a couple, maybe like for an hour to 2 hours, but that's it. Friday nights, maybe every other Friday or every Friday.
Yeah, I do
That's it.
I do Thursday nights because it's the night before I have to work the next day, but I don't have to work until 4, and my kid goes to bed at 8. So from 8 p.m. until 4 p.m. the next day, I literally have no responsibilities because my wife gets up with my kid on Friday mornings, and she doesn't have to work. So it's the perfect opportunity for me to drink and have no responsibilities. And then aside from that, I try to just kind of stay easy the whole week and don't really drink anything. Once again, this is coming from someone who used to drink 12 beers a night every single night his entire existence. So having this one night a week to go nuts, and at this point still only having like 3 or 4 shots instead of 12, 15 beers, I'm pretty happy with how things are going.
Well, you'll lose weight. That's probably why. That's
I
another
have.
reason why
I
you
lost
lost
20
weight.
pounds.
Yeah, that's it. The beers stop, and then you're lifting at work. You're moving all the time. I'm the opposite.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sitting all the time now. I mean, except for like, and like you said, Fridays like you have no responsibilities, but like we usually do. Like Saturday morning, it's like the kids. You know what I mean? Like if there's a 3-year-old down here, the baby, and then an 8-year-old, it's kind of like you're just like, oh boy, like because you're always like wide-eyed with the 3 kids. You're
And
always
that's me most of the week. Yeah, exactly. Which is why I just don't have time to drink anymore aside from Thursday nights.
Yeah, well, that's not bad though. It's supposed to be a weekend thing now. When you get old, you start feeling old as shit like us. Although we're not old as shit really, because we're almost.
yeah.
We should start saying that though. I don't know. So basically, yeah, man, I think we've covered it all in this. It was a good beginning to what we're doing here, and I think we're gonna do a little bit of bonus talk on the Patreon. For people, if you guys want to listen to that, patrons, you'll get a little bonus talk from us. I want to talk a little bit about Fox and Disney bought Fox, and Disney's
Well, I've
gonna...
been saving everything for the bonus talk. Like this is all just bullshit. I was just waiting to get to the bonus talk.
Oh, really? You've got others?
Yeah, this is all. I was just kind of farting around, but like now I'm ready to talk.
You're gonna talk about Disney owning everybody?
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this was a good episode number 1, and I loved it. I loved this. This was great. People are gonna like this, I think.
I don't think so. But if they listen to the actual shit that's coming up next, they'll love it.
On patreon.com/Grunja. Thanks, guys. If you guys like this, let us know in the comments down below. And it's good to be back here with Chris, and we'll get more from you later. If you guys remember back in the day with Chris on Monetize This, leave some memories down below.
They don't.
No, they do. Of course they do.
No, they don't.
You know what?
Name one person.
You know what people bring up more than anything? Was they bring up
dick?
like, no, well, kind of. They bring up that episode where I was trying to convince you and Jesse how I would break into a wall and get my gun out to
My God.
to defend my
I
house.
love. Was that the same night that the cops talked to me about
Yeah.
the fucking person?
Yeah, because that's what brought it up. I was like, man, I'd have
my
a gun on
God.
the wall and like all these.
That was great.
That is really funny. Like if you like that's, but people bring that up all the time. I'm like, yeah, was that the guy on there when you had the gun? And here's another thing too about that. To bring that up, by the way, a lot of people that maybe didn't listen to that back then, people have liked Monetize This so much that I've had people, like so many people, tell me like, dude, I'm going back to number 1 and I'm starting at 1. And the people have gone back and started at 1 and gone up. I think
They lose their goddamn minds because of how different it is.
yeah, the people like it, but it was different. It was like, it's almost like, because if you are used to what's going on now with like deer fucking and the donations going off every second and cake.
Wait, deer fucking? Hold on.
Yeah, and cake farts.
Deer fucking?
Yeah. Well, okay, that doesn't happen, but I wish it happened.
Okay.
And you go back to the beginning. It's almost like going back to WrestleMania 1, you know, and you're like, wow, it's so slow, and I don't know, and you kind of like fast forward half the WrestleMania. That's what happens if you're used to this Monetize This and you go back to episode 1. You're like, are these guys just gonna talk like this like seriously the whole time? I remember
And then
there
you
was-
find Roddy Piper, and then it all makes sense.
yeah, then you find the gem in it, and you're like, oh, like wow, like this was pretty cool actually. But I remember when sometimes, You know, I used to love the show. I used to be like really into it when we would all talk. But I remember there was like a couple times where the only time I would trail off is, I don't know what it was, but sometimes you and Tommy would get into like politics and you would get like really into it. And once you guys started going there, I became like wicked tired. Like I was like so tired. I would lay down I would lay down on my couch and like put headphones on and put the mic near me, and pretty much I never needed to do that cuz I just fell asleep or almost passed out. And it would go for hours. Maybe some of those weren't even monetized. Maybe some of those were just.
Oh, some of those were off the air. Like we went off the air,
really?
and then for 3 hours after that, we would debate and debate and debate.
Should have done it on the air, but for me, I don't know what. I got wicked tired. I was like, oh, I'm out. Like it was crazy. But yeah, we needed a little more comedy then. But now now it's all fucking comedy, pretty much. What do you think about, damn, what was I going to ask you about? Well, we'll talk about it on the bonus thing. Guys, we'll talk to you later. See you in episode number 2. Stay tuned for more information about when and where this is going to keep happening, but probably on Thursdays going forward.